Hi, welcome back to Module 6 of Straight Line Persuasion. Now, this is where it really gets good. We're going to have an introduction to the actual tactics of the straight line. And this is where you're going to learn literally how you take a sale and make it goal-oriented, how you take an influencing, a negotiation, whatever it might be, and know before you even start what your outcome is and have a very clear define how to get from here where you start to here, which is where you need to be. You're going to learn a couple of very powerful things. You're going to learn, number one, how to take that ability now with tonality to gain rapport, how you actually use that rapport now to gather intelligence, how to ask very specific questions, starting with big picture questions, then slowly getting more specific to really identify what your prospect's core needs are. See, once you know someone's needs, then you can really develop a strategy to address those needs versus being the hard-charging, pit bull salesman that just, wants to close, without having the empathy for what the client really wants. So you're going to learn something called the 310s. Now, these are the three things that have to line up in a moment in time, not forever, in one moment of time, to get someone to buy. When you have the 310s in place, I'll tell you what they are right now. Number one, that they absolutely love your product. Number two, they absolutely trust and connect with you. Number three, that they trust and connect with your company. When those three elements line up in a single moment in time and you ask for the order, believe me, you will see magic happen. See, most of the time, what an influencer doesn't do is they leave one of those things out. And because of that, they keep banging their head against the wall, wondering why they're not getting the appropriate result or the preferred result, when actually they just simply left a very key element out of the equation. Now, sometimes you'll also find, you'll see this in the DVD, that you might have the 310s lined up, but there'll still be something holding the client back, the prospect back, from taking decisive action. That has to do with something called limiting buying beliefs. And what those are is they're unconscious wounds, so to speak, that exist within all human beings, including myself and including you. And these wounds actually give us that voice in the back of our head that says, don't take action, don't buy. And it might be something their mom told them when they were, this big, or it might be some bad experience they had in the past with another salesperson, something they read in the paper, saw on TV. And those limiting buying beliefs are these killers of closing. So what you're going to learn to do here, as you learn the basics of straight line technology, is to actually create that massive rapport instantly in the first few seconds, to use that rapport to gather intelligence that will help you then tailor your presentation and also tailor your offering to really suit your client's needs. Because ultimately, remember, what we're trying to do here is get people what they want, not just close a sale. We're looking to get people what they want and, most importantly, what they need. Then you're going to learn how to create the 310s elegantly and effectively, and you're going to learn to get them into one distinct moment of time. This sort of spot where people are just saying, wow, they know they should buy, they want to buy, and if there's a buying belief holding them back, you can learn to squash that using some very powerful language patterns. So this is it. This is the point, really, where it all starts to come together, where you're going to learn to take the earlier lessons of prospecting, tonality, and you're going to apply some structure to it to actually take the client from A to Z in a step-by-step, move-by-move formula. And remember, keep that action book out, take notes. If you have any questions, you can always press the rewind button and look at something again. And remember, anything in the past, any situations where you couldn't influence somebody, you couldn't persuade, those things are going to melt away once you really master the art of straight line technology. So go for it. Keep your eye on the video, DVD, and I'll see you soon. From this point forward, it's all tactics, okay, of how you actually move down the straight line and the language patterns and so forth and how you get to the close. But I'll give you a really brief background of how the straight line came to be. And what happened was I hit on a couple of things simultaneously. First was the actual straight line itself, which was the ability to take a sale and break it down to a very logical path along the straight line, okay? Just take this for what it's worth right now, okay? Just imagine a sale being a straight line. When you open up the sale, the second the word comes out of your mouth, you're here. This is your open, okay? And the close is right here, when you get the person's information. and they say they're buying. That's the close, okay? The shortest distance between any 2 points is what? A straight line, okay? This is your perfect positioning from start to finish. Now, we all know that in the real world, it doesn't go this way. So we have what we call boundaries, healthy boundaries that go off the straight line. And they're very powerful. They're helpful. You have a boundary above the line, and you have a boundary below the line. Okay? And it's between these boundaries, and I mentioned this before, okay, where you develop rapport and gather intelligence. Okay? And you're going to do that in a process of qualifying questions. So you're going to have questions that you ask the people that are very specific. They start off as, write this down, big picture questions. And then slowly you whittle down to specific questions. You're looking to gather massive amounts of intelligence from this person in a way that's not annoying, in a way that builds rapport, in a way that empowers them. You ask a question one way, I ask it another way. We get completely different answers from the person and completely different emotional responses. If I'm looking to qualify a person for money, let's say in the stock market, for instance, okay? And I want to say, you know, how much you trading with right now? You know? I could say to someone, how much you trading with right now? He'll say, none of your damn business. How much you trading with right now? You know, Inspector General. How much you trading with right now, right? People don't want that. Say, how much you trading with right now? Just, you know, by the way, out of curiosity, how much you trading with right now? Totally different response you will get by asking the questions in an offhanded manner. Totally different. Now, what I was talking to him before, I was mentioning about people send me, I get emails all the time, 2 or 3 a day, about people that are using the straight line. These are ex-Stratonites people that worked for me, and they got scripts, and they, you know, somehow took part of the system, and they're using it. They're doing great. And they're always really nice, warm letters. It changed my life. I swear by the straight line. If you go to my Facebook wall, you'll see some of these funny postings that are out there about the straight line. They trade scripts around. You'll see portions of scripts on the wall, right? They're really funny, all right? Anyway, invariably, when I get someone that really wants to talk to me about the straight line, they'll start sending me more and more stuff. Can you help me? You know, what do you think of this? And they'll send me a thing saying, after the first close, and the person doesn't buy, they'll ask a question, like saying, well, let me ask you a question. They'll say, money aside, does the idea make sense to you? Like, forget about, let's say we're talking about credit repair, right? Say, you're trying to sell someone on credit repair. You say, well, you know, money aside, you ask them, let's say it's $900. I'm just making up a number. And they say, no, not really. So you say, well, money aside, does the idea of credit repair make sense to you? Do you like the idea? Good or bad? All wrong. Okay? Money's not aside. There's money involved. When you say money aside and you go forward in the line, you're done. You've done yourself a huge disservice. Now the guy will invest this whole thing in it, okay? And there's money saying, money aside, he's off the line. He's not in the sale. Now, you can say money aside without saying it. So I got this script the other day from some kid saying, and the first rebuttal was, you know, money aside, does the idea make sense to you? Do you like the idea, right? Which could also be money aside, does the idea make sense to you? Do you like the idea? Same or different? What I just said, first and second. Same or different? Different, right? Tonality is completely different. Money aside, I say to you, money aside, well, money aside, let me ask you a question. Does the idea make sense to you? Do you like the idea? Money aside. We're not friends here, we're adversaries, because I know you don't want to pay, we're not on the same page here. That's the tonality when you're talking like that. So I say to you, well, let me ask you a question. Does the idea make sense to you? Do you like, you said no, fine. Well, let me ask you a question though. Like, does the idea make sense to you? Do you like the idea? I don't get it. What's wrong with you? Another tonality. That's also wrong. If you want to take somebody who said no and whatever balked at the price, okay, and the first thing, and I'm jumping forward here for a second, I'll get back to the front, but if you're going to ask somebody, does the idea make sense to you? Do you like the idea? Implicit in your tone is that money is set aside. You don't have to say it. If I say to you, and I say, ba, 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 pick up, sign up for the program, it's $1,000. Fair enough? The guy says, well, let me think about it. So I say, money aside, let me ask you a question. Wrong. If he says, let me think about it, I say, well, let me ask you a question. Does the idea make sense to you? Do you like the idea? What did I just say? Money aside. Without ever saying, of course you know. I'm saying, well, let me ask you a question. It's like, money aside. I push the money aside with my tone of voice. That's the secret to closing. As soon as you say money aside, you're separated from the guy. Okay, you start laying out this beautiful picture. He's like, this bastard, he's laying out all these benefits and, he said, money aside. I know the money's coming back in. He's not doing this for an academic exercise. You lose credibility. You're like, let me push money off. He's like, what a stupid, cheap sales trick that is. They see through that in a second. You never say the word money aside. Do we live in fantasy land or the real world? It's the real world. Money is here. We need it. You can't get this, okay? There's other ways to make it more affordable. You do step-down sales, other mechanisms that we have where you would go to a lower program. But money's never not in the picture here because it is in the picture. But with tonality, we disarm somebody. We say, well, let me ask you a question. Does the idea make sense to you? Do you like the idea? Hello? He's like, well, yeah. He knows you said, he knows what you meant, but you never said it. So you stay in rapport. That's jumping ahead. So here we are, okay? In the first portion of the sale, we're asking him all these questions. I'm going to go through all these questions one by one tomorrow. And I'm going to show you the precise tonality you need to ask each question in to get the most out of it and to make them like you, trust you, and to realize what 3 things. Let's hear, what are they? What are they? Sharp as attack, enthusiasm. It never changes because it's so simple. You're going to see, when you start training sales, you're going to see it's so simple, okay? There's 3 things you're always trying to accomplish. Number 1, you're sharp as attack. 2, you're enthusiastic as hell. 3, you're a force of nature, a tour de force, a force of record, an expert. These 3 things, they're always lurking. You're always moving them. As you move towards the line, this never, ever ends. On the other side of the equation, what do you need to accomplish? You know before you before you pick up the phone, before you open the door, face to face, before you bang on it, whatever it might be, you know you need to accomplish these 3 things. Number 1, he's got to love your product. You know this. Take it out of the equation. There's no shortcuts. He's got to love your product. He's got to trust and love you, like you, know you care. He's got to love and trust you. And he's got to love, trust your company. You know this going in. The constants, okay? Your company. Every tonality is precisely engineered. I don't mean that in a deceptive way. I'm talking in a way to empower people to get the maximum amount of intelligence when you ask them a question so he responds gracefully. I say to somebody, how much money do you have in the market? Well, that's pretty invasive. Phil, screw you. I'm not telling you how much I have in the market. You don't earn the right to ask me that question. Or say, how much money do you have in the market right now? Just a ballpark. Which one's better? Which one works? Which one gets you the response? The second one, all the time. Is that the first question you ask him? No. You wouldn't ask him the money question first. You're going to ask him other questions before to get him into the habit of saying yes and giving information. Once he's in further rapport, say, oh, by the way, what do you have in the market? How much do you owe on the mortgage right now? Or, how much you're behind right now? Just a ballpark. Get it? How much money? How much you owe on the credit cards right now? Whatever it might be. Okay? The way you ask these questions, the tonality triggers a response, and always, 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 as you move towards the line, these 3 things must stay intact, and you're establishing these things. At a certain point in time, what's going to happen is when these 3 things are established, firmly established, I call them the 3 10s. We're going to go through this in intimate detail. The 3 10s, which mean someone cannot be at a 6. 10 being he thinks it's the best thing since sliced bread, 1 he hates it, right? He's got to be a 10 for sliced bread, 10 for you, 10 for your company, and bam, then you got a shot to close. One of those is lower, you're not going to close. You get him to this spot by moving him down the line. And you're strengthening your case. You're strengthening your case. You're strengthening this case logically and emotionally. Not just emotionally. Wipe out that crap you might have ever read that people don't buy on logic. It is not true. You need to develop an airtight logical case of why your product is the best thing since sliced bread, why it fills his needs, why he should buy now, logically. Will he buy? No, not enough. They also need the emotional component. But without logic, you're not going anywhere fast. That being said, we pick up the phone, we start speaking to someone. Let's say, just assume for a second as I go through the concept, you're using all the right tonality. You're getting into instant rapport with somebody. And you're gathering intelligence. You're asking them questions. One of the classic mistakes that I always see happening at this point is someone will think that developing rapport is talking about the guy's life. That's not what developing rapport is about. So if you're on the phone, it was I think about 2 months ago, it was actually in England, when I was training this company in England, and I was listening in on someone's phone call, and they were qualifying to buy a trading system, a currency trading system. And he asked this guy, what kind of work are you doing right now? Guy says, I'm a carpenter or whatever. And guy was living in the northern England somewhere, right? Great. And he goes, how much time do you want to spend trading? You want to be and trust me, he didn't sound this good. He sounded awful. His tonality was bad. How much time you want to spend trading? He goes, well, the guy says, I just want to trade part-time because my son's in the military and he's stationed up there in northern Britain and he's flying fighter planes right now. And the salesman goes, really? I love flying fighter planes. It's so cool. I listened for 15 minutes as they talked about freaking fighter planes in northern England. And that somehow turned into deer hunting in northern England. And they were talking about everything but the sale. The salesman thought he was getting rapport with this person. Untrue. Okay? Let me ask you logically, would an expert spend his time with a stranger talking about fighter planes in England on a phone call? Only a desperate salesman, desperate for a commission, and desperate to talk to anybody who will talk to him will go on that train of thought. That's not how you get respect from somebody. Okay? What happens is this: as you ask your qualifying questions, you're moving down the line, and you're moving down the line, and you're moving down the line. Forget how far I'm moving right now, okay? I'm going to move far because I want to show you a visual. You're moving down the line. You're asking questions. You're looking for information to find out if he's qualified, meaning if he can afford your product and he should buy your product. It's in his best interest. If he shouldn't buy, what will you do? Either A, direct him to a place where he can get what he wants. If you can't do that, you just hang up the call very nicely, have a nice day. You're not going to pressure this person into buying if he shouldn't buy or can't afford to buy. Especially if he can't afford to buy, because you're wasting your time, because you're going to bang in your head saying, why isn't he buying? He can't afford it, okay? As you're moving down the line, if the person's not giving you the intelligence that you need, and he tries to go off the line far, 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 okay, you get to here. This is as far as you will let the sale go off the line. You're going to stop him, and you're going to redirect him back to the line and get him back into the sale. You're not going to go off into Pluto. You're going to control the sale. Now, you cannot interrupt somebody while they're talking. That's bad. So how do you stop someone? It's very simple. You wait until they're done with their little speech they give you, and you very quickly say, oh, my God, that's so great. And by the way, boom, how much money you have in the market right now? It's really simple. But here's the trick. It's tonality that carries the day. He starts rambling, like, I don't care about that shit in the countryside. How much you have in the market? He'll say, what an asshole. The salesman doesn't like me, care about my needs. But if someone said to me, talking about the stuff in the countryside, I'd say, oh, wow, it's really great. No, I know, I love the countryside. By the way, so you're looking 3 hours a day, right? He'd say, yeah, and he's back on the line. It's that simple. This is not complicated. Let me tell you something. I believe simple is good. Complicating is interesting. Doesn't work. Simple works. That's why anyone can embrace the system here. Simple works. This is really, really simple. All you're going to do is you're going to stop him and use very powerful tonality, I'll show you what it is when we get to it, to carry the day, to bring him back to the line, to get the intelligence and move forward. Every time the guy tries to go off the line, he's gonna go, he's gonna go, he's gonna go, you're gonna stop him, turn him back to the sail, using tonality to carry the day. And with your tonality, implicit in your tonality, write this down. He knows, number one, that you care. He has to know that you care. B, that you're interested in his life. That you are interested. Not that I don't give a crap about that, but time is money. And since I am sharp as a tack, enthusiastic as hell, and a force to be reckoned with, an expert, I honestly, I'd love to talk. After we close, yeah, one day we can go out for drinks. Not now. Not while I'm qualifying you. People will say to me, well, Jordan, you know, people just ramble. And how do you stop that? I'm like, they don't ramble when they speak to me because they know better. Because they know what? It's all back to the same crap. Because they know I'm sharp as a tack, enthusiastic, I'm an expert. You get that? And when was that established? In the first 4 seconds. And reinforced every step of the way. That first paragraph, but a first paragraph, right? They're like, ooh, this guy's on the, they're like, they don't know it. They're like, he's on the money. They got a salesman who's on the money. You ever have a salesman who's on the money? Raise your hand. What do? You play his game. Because you know you got a pro. I have a woman in Beverly Hills I get my BMWs from. Her name is Nada. She's the top salesman in the country for BMW. This woman is so sharp and so directed. And I think she loves me, and all she's doing is selling me a car in like 4 minutes flat. Yet somehow in 4 minutes flat, she's like loving me, liking me, filling my needs, is great, how's the family, blah, 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 sign on the dot, I got myself a car. You don't need to ramble. You don't need to be this person that like has to ramble with someone to be an effective salesperson. I knew that Nita was an authority figure, the top person, sharp as a tack, her time is valuable. I respect that. Not just because I'm a salesperson, I respect that any human being will respect that. If you command that respect. And it comes through in what? Your say it. Tonality. Okay? It comes back to that and in person with your body language and how you carry yourself. Okay? So that's the bottom line. So here we are. We're moving down the line. Now, okay, we go through this whole thing. We qualify the person. We gather all the intelligence that we need. We have a massive rapport with this person. They like us. Maybe there's a laugh or two. They know we care. They don't know why. It's all mostly unconscious. They're happy to be on the call. You brighten their otherwise uncheery day, right? You enter most people's world. Remember, most people in any given moment are in a disempowered state. Most people live in disempowered states. When you come in with a positive state, you brighten their day. If you come in a disempowered state, who needs this guy? I got enough misery in my life without this salesperson. When someone comes in, boom, cheerful, upbeat, how you doing? They're like, okay, up a little bit. Just that much is all you need to get in the door to prove that you're those 3 things. I'll tell you a story. I was getting life insurance. This is a great story. Before I left for Australia, the last time I was going, it's like 7, 8 months ago. And I made the fatal mistake of trying to get it over the internet. And I filled out this whole application, which generated a phone call from some woman who was the driest human being on the planet. She was 20, 21 years old by the sound of her. And she started asking me qualifying questions for life insurance, right? So she starts off, your name, your social security number, what day you born, and blah, 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 right? Now starts the real question. She's like, you know, what do you do for a living? I said, well, I'm an author and a public speaker. Okay, check that. She goes, have you ever flown any planes before, aircraft? I'm like, yeah, actually, I'm helicopters. Haven't flown in 10 years, though. Just helicopters, 10 years, haven't flown. She goes, so that's a yes? I said, yeah. Now, remember, it's the driest tone in the world. Just, is that a yes? I'm like, yes. She goes, okay, have you ever flown any fixed-wing aircraft? I'm like, no, just helicopters. She goes, so the answer is no. She goes, no. She goes, have you ever flown a crop duster? I'm like, no. I've never flown, only a helicopter. She goes, no crop duster, no. Okay. Have you ever flown for the news, reporting for the news? I'm like, what are you talking? I said, now, I'm in a rush, by the way. It was the day before I was leaving, and I'm starting to get pissed. okay? And I'm supposed to be a master of state management. I'm losing my state, and I'm getting pissed off, right? Okay, then she goes, have you ever flown for the military? I'm like, no, I flew a helicopter for pleasure. I pushed her off the side of my yacht because I was high on drugs. You happy? That's it. I get a bit of silence. She goes, so the answer is no? I'm like, no. She goes, have you ever flown? No. She goes, have you ever flown? No. She goes, mister, unless you asked, I can hear the full question. I cannot take a no. I'm like, this bitch, I'm gonna kill this woman. I'm like, start pacing around and I'm really pissed. And I start getting into a really pissed off state. And she goes on and on, asking for spy planes, military planes, agriculture. I never knew there was so many planes. I can't think of them today. It was 50 types of planes. And finally, I'm like, listen, lady, and I start cursing, I'm in a fucking rush. I am pissed off. This is bullshit. I gotta go somewhere. She's like, hold on for a second. I'm like, and she puts me on hold. I'm like, oh my God, she's gonna hang up on me now. I'm gonna have to start this crap again. All right, now I'm fuming, I'm so pissed, okay? She comes back, she goes, okay, I'm done with those questions. She goes, next question. Have you ever used drugs? I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, drugs, mountains of them, cocaine, quaaludes, massive quantities, heroin, Xanax, Klonopin, you name it. I'm like, dead silence. I can hear the fear coming through the other edge of the phone, right? So now she's like, okay, let me just take these one at a time, right? She goes, have you ever snorted coke? Yes! 5 pounds of it. You happy? Dead silence, okay? Oh, hold on, sir. Click. I'm like, oh my God, I'm on hold again. Now my girlfriend comes in. I'm like, this is you. I'm like, you. And I'm looking for blame, right? You put me up to this. You made me get life insurance, blah, blah, blah. I'm so yelling at her. She's like, what's wrong? I said, she goes, calm down. You're losing your state. I'm like, screw this. I want to be pissed off, right? And I'm really angry. 30 seconds later, the girl gets back on the phone, all right? She's like, okay, sir, have you ever smoked marijuana? 50 pounds worth, you happy? I said, let me tell you something, bitch. I said, I am gonna scope down, I don't know where you are, this is bullshit. All of a sudden, and I bring the woman to tears over the phone, okay? And she's crying, she's bawling on the phone. And all of a sudden, I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, look what I did. I'm in an angry, pissed off state. What did I do to this other person? I made them cry. My state affected someone else's state. It made someone cry, all right? I'm like, geez, I'm supposed to be teaching this stuff. I was on a tour, and that was like a self-development tour. I'm like, oh my God, all right? So I said, stop, and I said, listen, I'm so sorry. I said, I'm so sorry. I said, listen, I'm leaving somewhere, and I'm just really uptight. It's not your fault. I said, listen, let me tell you a little bit about myself. And I started telling her my story, and 3 minutes later, she's laughing hysterically. I'm like, let's just go through this together. And I fill out the whole application, right? And so on and so forth. The point is this. When you're in an angry, pissed off state, you hurt everybody around you. When you're in a positive, pumped up state, enthusiastic, sharp, you make everyone around you go up to another level. As a salesperson, when you pop that first pop out of your mouth and the way you carry yourself on the phone, when I say carry, I mean on the phone, the way you carry yourself and the mental image you create about yourself to the other person rules the day. And if you're in person, same thing with body language. It's hugely important. So when people say to me, well, you know, people ramble because it's you. That's just your story that the old people ramble. That's not a truth. People that are disempowered, they blame, 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 blame. They justify, 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 justify. They complain, they complain, they complain. And remember what you do when you complain? What are you doing? You're focusing on all the crap in your life and you become a crap magnet. They say, why is my life so crappy? Because you're focusing on the crap. It expands and it comes to you. So simple. Yet so few people do the right thing and focus on the positive, the solution. So my point is this, when you pick up that phone and I say you're gonna pop out, hey John, how's it going today? There's a reason why. You're looking to raise up the other person's state into one of happiness, positive. They don't know why they're happy to speak to you. Does it work all the time? No. No. But we live in a game of percentages, right? Closing X percent. Each little notch you make that raises you up, it starts to build and build and build. Before you know it, it's a snowball effect. Plus, you feel a lot better about yourself every moment of the day. If you're going out there raising people's states versus trying to knock them down and rip their eyeballs out, it's a different way you live and look to yourself, okay? So you go through all these questions, and you ask them like 10, sometimes 15 questions. It's fine. The more intelligence, the better. You're gathering, identifying needs, like that old, like the new sales model that says it's all about, yes, you're doing all that, but you're setting, it's closing. It's all done to move towards the close. So after you're done with that, then you give the presentation. You give your first presentation, okay? There's a transition, okay? And here is your transition. And it's, again, really, really simple, because this is all really, really simple. The transition is after you've asked your last qualifying question, you're going to say this no matter what, unless it's not true. But if they fall into the category where they should be buying your product, you're going to say, well, let me say this. Based on everything that you just told me, this is the perfect fit for you. Boom, and you're into your presentation. That's it. That's the language pattern. It's so simple. Don't change it. It works. Works all the time. Not 99% of the time. If people say no, they were never interested. It works. That's your transition to the main body of the script. Well, let me say this. Based on everything you've just told me, this seems like a perfect fit for you. And what you're doing is you're giving a presentation, moving him down the line, right? You've asked him questions, right? You've gone off the line a bit. You've gone up, you've gone down, but the whole way you've moved forward on the line, right? And you get to the point and you say, okay, let me tell you how easy it is to get started. It's a question of your name, some basic information, credit card number, the product arrives in 3 days, and believe me, you won't be sorry. Sound fair enough? Obviously, you wouldn't say it like that, but that's where you are in the sale. Where are you on the line? Anyone want to raise it? Anyone take a guess? Where are you on the line? Who thinks I'm here? Raise your hand. Anybody? Who thinks I'm here? Okay, here, okay, good. Who thinks I'm here? Okay, who thinks I'm here? Okay, who thinks I'm here? Okay, they're right. All this, believe it or not, and the reason I move forward is just to show you a visual. That's why I said it's not really that. All of that first no, let the games begin. That's when the sale starts. When they say no. You must reframe it as a salesperson. The sale doesn't begin until they say no the first time. Any monkey can read off a script to someone who's in that ultra high 20% of buyers that's just so committed to buy, they're going to buy instantly. Well, you know, what do you pay a salesman like that? Minimum wage, it's called. They stand at the checkout line at 7-Eleven, and they're salespeople too. I'll sell you a donut. Here, 35 cents. Here you go. Thank you. No pressure. You want to sell like that, transactional selling, then do that. $7 an hour, maybe even less in this city. That's selling, but influencing, right? Real selling, persuading, whatever you want to call it, doesn't work that way. It starts when they say no. Once you figure that out, everything changes because you realize, okay, and let's say you're over here, okay, and you say, believe me, you will not be sorry. Sound fair enough? They say, yeah, great. Let me think about it. Not interested. Let me talk to my wife. I'm busy. Can you call back? Not a good time right now. But the truth is, you want to know the best way to answer an objection? Answer before they ask it. Anticipate it. I'm going to show you how to do that. The straight line, you'll be anticipating all objections and looping and knocking out their objections before they even bring them up. Secondly, you're going to be knocking out their buying beliefs that limit them before they bring them up. He's never going to tell you, I'm not buying because my mommy told me not to buy from strangers. But that's what holds most people back, in truth, not to trust salespeople, not to do business with those people that we don't know, all that stuff. You're going to knock all that stuff out. He's not going to tell you, well, I'm running a mental calculation right now, and I sense that if I make this decision, there's a good chance I might feel more pain in the future than pleasure. He's not going to say that, but you know that's the truth. You know it's the truth. Knowing that empowers you. So as you move down the line, you're going to knock that out with a language pattern that addresses that very thing. Ultimately, it gets to the point where you're going on and on down the line, and what's happening is very simple. Like I said before, he's got the positives here, he's got the negatives here. And you chip away as you move down the line, you're pouring on positives, right? You're pouring on positives, okay? Pouring on positives. Sometimes it's knocking out negatives, gets lighter, right? Knocking out negatives, okay? And all of a sudden you crack a belief, okay, and the scale drops. The scale doesn't drop like this. It's not like this, yeah, okay, I'll buy. It's like, no, 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 all right, boom. When someone hits the action threshold, they buy like that. Who knows that as a salesperson? People say no, 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 and all of a sudden you'll say one thing, all right, do it. That's how it works in sales. They're running a calculation. Positives, negatives. And there's this belief that acts as sort of this ultimate gravity force, right? The gravity is based on the beliefs, right? You keep adding on the positives, the benefits, logical benefits, emotional benefits. Scale gets heavier, heavier. Not moving yet, right? You start knocking away, okay, things that are holding them back, objections. Still not moving. All of a sudden, that one thing, it's either logic or emotion, it could be anything. The scale drops and they buy. What is it? Is it logic? Is it emotion? Is it a belief? Guess what? Who cares? Using the straight line, I will simply loop and loop and loop and loop around the line until I hit it, by accident if I have to. You're going to go after all of them. You never know. Human beings are complicated organisms, right? Getting someone to buy that doesn't want to buy, to influence someone that doesn't want to be influenced, to persuade someone that doesn't want to be persuaded, right? Imagine their mind as like a very high-tech combination lock. 3 turns to the left to 32, 4 turns to the right at 16. I think I got it backwards, but it doesn't really matter, okay? Click, one thing opens. Click, click, and you can't, all of a sudden, well then click, and the safe opens and they buy. What you're doing as you go down the straight line is you're picking the lock for what their buying strategy is. Everybody has a buying strategy, and it's different. What makes me buy something is different than you. It's just different. We're similar creatures, but we have our unique elements to us based on our beliefs that have formed since we're this big. From the times our mommy, you know, spoon-fed us apples, my mommy told me that the only noble way to wealth was to become a doctor. Guess what? I almost went to med school. I actually went to dental school. I went to dental school not because I wanted to be a dentist, because my mom inserted a belief, righteously, meaning to help me, that the only noble way to wealth is to be a physician. I was like, well, screw that. I'm not going to 13 years of medical school. That's crazy, between residency and specialty, right? I said, well, if I'm a dentist, I'll still be Dr. Belfort. She'll be happy, I'll be happy, and dentists get rich. That's how my mind worked. I rationalized the whole thing out. Not verbally, but I really did. When I look back at it, that's what happened. So I go to dental school, and I walk in, there's 105 dental students on the first day of orientation, and they're all sitting there looking all chipper and everything in an auditorium. The dean is standing up on a stage like this. He's got gray hair. He looks very dental, the guy, you know, white jacket. He's like a dentist, you know, very official. And he starts talking, you know, to welcome you all to the Baltimore College of Dental Surgery. You should be very happy. It's a great career you've chosen. You've worked hard to get here. You're going to be a pillar of the community and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, okay, great. And I'm looking around. Everyone's like nodding expectantly. And then he goes, let me say this. The golden age of dentistry is over. If you're here to make a lot of money, you're probably in the wrong place. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm in the wrong place. I'm like, oh, my God. And I got up on the first day, and I walked out. Never came back to dental school. I dropped the first day dental school dropout, okay? Now, of course, I couldn't bear to tell my mother that, so I hid down in Maryland for like 4 months. She called me, how's school? Oh, it's really good. I'm doing great. I was working out all day, running, jogging, going out at night. And then the money ran out because I made a lot of money as a kid selling ices on the beach. I always had a lot of money. Hustling, selling ices, blanket to blanket to blanket, chipwiches, fudgicles, Italian ices. Made a lot of money and sustained myself through the year. When the money ran out, I came back up north to my house, and I sat down with my parents and said, I want to be a salesman. They're like, what? It was like the slimiest thing on earth. That's my parents were. I love them to death, and they're really wealthy now, thanks, because when I made money, my dad worked for me, and I made him very wealthy. They live a very nice life, still in the same 2-bedroom apartment I grew up with. It's like the Wonder Years, my house. I go back there, the furniture's the same in 1960. It's unbelievable, my parents. Salt of the earth people. You know, they live very not frugally, but very, modestly. And they're great and they're healthy, they're great people. When I sat down, I go, like a salesman. I'm like a meat salesman. I was like, oh my God, call the police, meat salesman. Oh my God, my son, what happened, right? Okay, anyway, the point I'm trying to make is that the beliefs that we hold drive us to the ends of the earth to be consistent with who we think we are, our identity. Our identity. It's the highest level of consciousness. We have our beliefs and our identity. Our identity is based on the beliefs of who we think we are, who we are. How we go about the world, move through the world, is based on the beliefs of what we think we can accomplish. We won't try things we don't think we'll succeed at. So if I want to get someone to succeed, I got to knock out a belief. You get that? So you're just trying to sell someone, you better be really aware of what their beliefs are about buying. Where do they fit in? Rest assured this, 90% of the people that you go to try to sell have been told at one point or another not to trust a salesman, or have been burnt by a salesman by getting bad service, by being overcharged, and thought themselves a fool, or called a fool, correctly so, by someone that they knew and loved, and they felt crappy about it. And there's a wound there. In order for you to close, you have to overcome that wound. How do you overcome that wound? Very simple. You create the following things. Number one, an airtight, logical case. Number one, you create an airtight, logical case of why it makes sense to buy when? Now. An airtight, logical case, which means the product must be perceived as the best thing since sliced bread. Number one, you must get them to this point. If you get them to this point, you've gone far. It's not always easy, especially when you're front-loading your scripts. If you go out and have a script, a sales script, and it's all about the great stuff in the first couple of minutes of the script, you have a problem. Because what happens is that you've shot your best load out there, the cannon, boom, right? You shot your cannon off with your best stuff, and they say no, having nothing to do with your product at all. There's other reasons why they're saying no, but you got no powder left. Your best powder is not there. Here's the goal. Write this down. Leave your powder dry. Do not give them all the great stuff about your product all up front. Because once they say no based on that, they have to remain consistent with the no. Better, you should leave some stuff out, the really great stuff, so when they say no, you're like, oh, you said no, but now let me tell you something else, and we'll switch that. You get it? You can't say all this to them, but they know it. People are smart. We're logical creatures and we're emotional creatures. Both must be in place. So you must create an airtight logical case. Secondly, you must create an airtight emotional case. Those two things must be in place. Third, you must crack through all their limiting buying beliefs. Crack limiting beliefs. These three things will occur as you move down the straight line with specific language patterns and scripts. Scripts, and scripts, and they're all going to be ethical and honest. Do not lie in your scripts. Do not exaggerate in your scripts. You don't have to. You just don't have to. If you're selling a crappy product, you should quit the company you're working for and find a better place to sell. If your product's not the best, go find someplace else where it is the best. As a salesperson, as a great salesperson, you deserve to be selling the best product, the best of breed. I know most of you are in that position, and that's great. But if one of you is not, you just need to seriously rethink your career if you're selling garbage and crap. Because the straight line will work great for that stuff. Oh, it works really, really great. And you'll lose your soul. And you might end up in jail for ripping people off when all the complaints come in because everyone that shouldn't have bought. And your company goes out of business and you're embarrassed. It's terrible. But if you have a great product and you have an ethical script, and the script, I'm saying the script is crucial. The script is crucial because the script, the right set of scripts will allow you to pick the lock for any person's buying strategy. That's all you're doing. As you're running down the line, you're going to be picking the lock on their buying strategy. And here's the beauty. There must be like how many different buying strategies? I don't really know. I never thought about it, but I bet there's a lot. So what are we going to do? We're going to try to identify what their buying strategies and figure it out and take a whirl? I want to tell you, if you're training salesmen and you're a salesperson, you want to be effective, what would you rather have? Would you rather pick up the phone and know that every single sale is going to be the same? Every time. It's going to be the same way every time. Would you like that, or would you like to try to freeform it every single time and make it different? Which is better? The first, raise your hand if you want to do it the same every time. Raise your hand. That's the way. Who wants to freeform, try to figure this crap out? That is a disaster. A great salesperson, the best person, can freeform it. They can. They can go freeform, and they just know it's a talent they have to control the sale, to break through buying beliefs. They know how to do it. They're doing it unconsciously. They're running an unconscious strategy. They're running a straight line without knowing it. That's all the straight line is. It's how you sell. It's how you sell. It's no magic to it. Great salesmen will do it automatically. Poor salesmen just don't know. No one showed them. No one said, listen, here's what you got to do. They've read all the books and all this sort of stuff, but no one showed them a strategy that makes it the same every single time. So no matter what their combination is, you're going to run the same patterns in the same order, and eventually you're going to hit on it. Now, when do you hit on it? Watch. It's so elegant. It's great. It makes me like I'm so proud of it. I love it. You can tell I get excited, right? It's so elegant because here's what happens. If this is the open and this is the close, okay? Some people, you're going to hit their combination earlier and they'll close here. Other people, you're going to hit it later with another language pattern and they'll close here. But either way, you're always moving down the line. If you move all the way down the line, either two things, either they buy or they don't buy, right? But what happens is this. You've ran every possible combination to pick the lock. You close everyone who's closable. And why didn't they buy? Remember what I said in the beginning? No matter how good you are, not everybody's a buyer. That's it. It's as simple as that. But by using the straight line, you're going to know every time you pick up the phone, I got it. Either he buys from me or he would never buy from anybody. That's a good place to be in when you pick up the phone. Not like, I hope I can figure out what to say with this guy. Well, hope he doesn't give me that one objection I hate about his mother. Hope he doesn't bring up his wife. Ooh, the wife. I hate the wife objection. That's the worst one. Oh, let me think about it. It's just around the corner. Okay? Here's what I say, okay? Tell me that you don't like my product, and I'll argue with you to the death about it. I'll argue, logically, I'll argue with you to the death about my product. I know I'm right. Right? Tell me you don't like me, and I'll try to convince you to like me and say, what did I do wrong? I'll figure it out. We'll have a talk about that. Tell me you don't like my company. I'll defend my company and resell you on my company, try to make you see the way. Tell me all those stuff, and I will respect you. Just don't tell me you want to think about it, because that's crap. That's the one that's crap. Don't just tell me, I don't know, let me think about it. That's what I don't respect. Now, people say it all the time, yeah, great. You can say, I don't respect you. How dare you? No, you don't say that. What I'm saying is that at the end of the day, if someone just says to you, listen, I don't like your product, I respect the fact that you didn't buy. I get it. I respect that. I can respect that. Okay? Or, listen, honestly, you're not my cup of tea. Whatever it is, fine, I learned from my mistakes, right? But if they just say, I don't know, let me think, well, that doesn't say anything. What it means, okay, is very simply this. You have not, A, made an airtight logical case to buy now. You have not made an emotional case to buy now. It's either one of those two, or you have not cracked through a belief about buying. That's what it is. And what's happening is very simple. Visually, the scales, if they're saying, let me think about it, what does it mean? The negatives are heavier than the positives. They've played the movie out. They said that if they take action right now, there will be more pain than pleasure, so they don't buy. It's as simple as that. You move someone down the line, and you're knocking off negatives. And as you do, the scale gets lighter. You're adding on positives. And all of a sudden, you crack a belief, and the gravity changes, and whoop, and it's over. And the scale pops up. So don't tell me, like, I just want, what's holding you back? Tell me, honestly, I'll respect it. Just don't tell me I gotta, And by the way, some people have to speak to their wife. Some people do. Some people do, but most don't. When someone tells you they want to speak to their wife or their husband, what they're saying is, I'm not 100% sure this is right, and I don't want to be thought a fool. We'll be slapped around or be made fun of for doing something stupid. Because let me tell you something, if they just imagine this, okay? Ladies, if you, just in the crowd, okay? Let's just say that your husband did something, you had a deal, he usually doesn't do stuff on his own. He went out and bought something, okay? And it turned out that it was actually unbelievably effective, and you loved it, and it was great, amazing, and it changed your lives, and it was great. Would you really be pissed at him if it was just ended up being so amazing? Maybe you'd be a little bit and say, oh, you shouldn't have done that. In the end, it'll work out okay. Yes or no? It would, right? You're all nodding your head, okay? If he came home, if he did that and bought something bad and ended up wasting your money, you'd be, you fool. You'd be berating the guy. When a guy says, let me speak to my wife, what he's saying is, I'm not 100% sure that this is right, that this is 100% guaranteed. Because if it was 100% guaranteed, and I don't say this in a vacuum, remember, nothing's in a vacuum. There are, some people have relationships where they have to speak to their spouse. And we'll go through that tomorrow, how to handle that and get the spouse on the line and get the spouse invested in the process too. We'll get to that. But I'm telling you that 75 or 80% of the time, they don't. They're just not convinced. It's a smokescreen, it's a stall. That's what it is. It means that you haven't knocked out a belief, or mostly, you haven't created a logical case about why they should buy. They don't think your product is absolutely unbelievable. There's still something in their head that's saying, I don't know, let me think about it, maybe I have to research more. Watch this, okay? I want to show you something. The 3 10s they're called. Write this down, the 3 10s. Your product, your company, and you, right? You need to get them up to a 10, to a 10, and to a 10. All 3. When I say 10, there's 3 words you have to add on to that. 10 in the moment. 10 in the moment. I get you to a 10, I run a pattern, a language pattern, and I say to you, so, about your product. And I'm done with it, and it's a great pattern. It's like so compelling that if I say to you, you see what I'm saying? You like it? You're like, oh, yeah, no, I see it. Loan mods are oh, my God, credit or pay, yeah, it's great. And I get them to that point, like, oh, my God, yeah. If I say to someone, yeah, does the idea make sense to you? They say, yeah. Is that good enough? No. The biggest problem salesmen mistakes say, well, listen, do you like the program? And someone will say, yeah, it's a good program. And they try to move forward and close. No. Unless that person admits to you, logically, not based on hype, you laid out an airtight, logical case, and the person agrees, oh, my God, yeah, I see it. This is great. Yes, this is a great product. It fills my needs. You cannot move forward on the line unless that's established. You can't just blow past and say, well, he kind of likes, let me try to close him on something else. You can't pick the lock. The first tumbler, you don't start from the last number first. It's the first tumbler is logic, that he loves your product. He can't just kind of like it. He's got to love it. So you get someone to a 10, you run a pattern. He says, oh, my God, no, it's great. Yeah, I love it. And let's say he's at a 9.5 or close to a 10. So now you move on to your next pattern, which is going to be about you, selling yourself, right? And you start doing that. Where is he on the product? He's like, his belief is every second, his belief starts to wane. So what happens is when you run a pattern on somebody, you get into a 10, it's in the moment, in the second, and the second later, they start to go down. Buyer's remorse. They lose belief in what you're saying. That's how humans are. Take this for granted. No problem. You just know that before I close, I gotta do one last notch up back to a 10. You get that? So you get into a 10 in the moment with a pattern. You move forward. You get into a 10 for you. You get into a 10 for your company. All three things have been established. Before you ask for the order, it's got to be reinforce, reinforce, ask for the order. Reinforce, reinforce, ask for the order. You bring them up to a 10 again in the moment, a 10 again in the moment, bam. You let all three line up, and you ask for the order. Calmly, not like ask for the order, it's ask for the order. Calmly and elegantly, with compassion and a tone that says that you care. That's a pattern, a closing pattern. Now, usually they don't close in the first pattern, but what's happening is a box is forming. It's a logic box and an emotion box, and what happens is they start saying, well, wow, too bad, I really wish I wasn't told when I was 5 that not to buy from salesman. I'd love to buy from this one. He's sharp as a tack, enthusiastic. He seems so honest, he's trustworthy. Wow, what a great product he has. Too bad I can't buy. I don't want to be thought of as being fool. That's a belief holding. Now, he's not saying that, but trust me, it's happening at a deep unconscious level, or else he'd be buying. Think about it. Why, if someone says they love your product, they love and trust you, they love and trust your company, and they're still not buying it, why? Something's holding them back. It's either money or a belief. And talking to a wife is a belief. They have a belief in their heart. They need to talk to someone else to say yes. It's a belief. So what happens now, this is now earlier on, this is in the straight line, you're now in the closing part, that's your first pattern. Your next pattern, okay, is gonna run to his thoughts, his beliefs. You start busting beliefs, making him play movies out in his head without him really knowing it. Not to manipulate, again, I caution you, please, ethics, 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 ethics. Only get people to buy who should be buying, help them, motivate them to take action when they should. Please, use this to empower people to make good decisions. Don't manipulate them. But what's gonna happen is you're gonna run a pattern that's gonna cause them to play out movies, and they're gonna realize that their belief is crazy. They're not even gonna you're gonna create scenarios where the downside is played out and it's minimal. The upside's huge. They see themselves being loved and revered by all. And then what do? Do you ask for the order? No. You run the 3 10s again, 10, 10, 10, boom. Ask for the order. 3 turns to the right. Now another combination. You get it? Now that might have been one belief you knocked out, but maybe it's another. So what do? Very simple. You'll loop back again. Okay, you're in a different pattern. You keep running different patterns and knocking out different beliefs and adding on different positives, knocking out more negatives. You don't know everyone's buying strategy. You can't be that smart. No one's that intuitive. We know basic stuff. I'll show you stuff about kinesthetic people, visual people, auditory. People process differently. I'll show you that, but don't fall back on that. You just to know it can cut your time a bit when you get good and elegant with this thing. But for right now, just say, I can't figure out what's going on in this guy's mind exactly. I just know I'm going to hit everything logically and close the guy. Now, when you're in this latter portions of the line, what are you focusing on? Guess what? It's based on the intelligence that you gathered here. All of a sudden, all those questions that you asked him in the perfect tonality, which made him know that you like him, that you care about him, that you're honest and ethical, all that stuff now is in your arsenal, and you start running patterns specifically geared to his strengths that you know he loves about your product, what he's looking to accomplish, and any weaknesses that might have been uncovered from that strategy, and you're gonna, from the intelligence gathering, you just start knocking that stuff very specifically. You start broad and get specific. Broad and get specific. As you go down the line, you're razor honed into this guy, you're in rapport, you have all the intelligence you know to close, and you're hitting out his negatives in a laser-guided fashion in the last portion of sale. And this way, either they're gonna buy or they're not. But what you're gonna know is that you closed everybody who was closable. with this strategy. Everyone who's closable will close. Just don't close the ones that shouldn't buy. This strategy, this system, it literally will change the way you go about closing people. It will empower you to become a huge producer, whatever you sell, anything. I've used this, I've trained all sorts of companies to sell. It could be for sales that occur over 3 months. They require $1 million deals, investment banking deals that go on and on, big deals. Okay, all this sort of stuff, all is the straight line. It's the same thing. Use this technology in an honest, ethical way, and you will soar. You will fly, you will flourish, because you have the keys. Who you are, who your company is, and what your product does. And they're all great for the person. And you know what their beliefs are, and you're gonna knock them out. So I want you to remember that the straight line technique is a game of percentages. You're gonna close everybody who's closable, but that doesn't mean you're gonna close everybody. What you have here, though, is a snowball effect, that as you start to master these techniques one by one, they will slowly come together. And when I say slowly, I don't mean over years. I'm talking about weeks. That's it, you know, a month on the outside. But they'll come together, and you will see a dramatic improvement in your ability to close, to persuade, to really make your visions known to, you know, another human being. And remember this here, one of the most important things with the straight line technique is that you have to get to the point of being unconsciously confident. Now, there's also a good enough factor, which means even if you're not unconsciously confident, you'll still get results. But it's the difference between, you know, getting to a 10 out of 10 with the straight line, where you literally can close everyone who's closable, versus being a 5 or a 6 out of 10, where you'll see a 30 or 40% increase in your sales and your ability to persuade. But that sort of real power, it comes at the very top of the game. To get there, the action steps are as follows. Number one, I want you to practice visualization. I want you to actually see yourself in the future using the straight line. I want you to see yourself closing sales. It's called future pacing, as I said. And future pacing means you're actually going to run this movie out, and you're going to see the benefits. You're going to see yourself in a disassociated state, meaning you'll see yourself in the picture, and then you'll associate into the picture, and you allow the wonderful feelings to literally wash over you, to enjoy in the fruits of your labor of mastering the straight line and seeing just how powerful it is in the future and enjoying the fruits of that. So again, visualize. I want you to do it every day, in the morning once, 10 minutes, at nighttime, 10 minutes, and you get to 15, that's pretty good too. But at least give yourself 10 minutes and allow yourself the pleasure of seeing you in the picture, using the straight line, and having amazing results with it, which is exactly what you're gonna have.